there is somebody who has asked, please explain how to take care of circulating pump. Okay, now the circulating pump, the most critical thing about the circulating pump is the alignment and the piping stresses. Okay, now generally what we do is all the installation, if it is a new installation or anything like that, then appropriate amount of support for the piping so that the load does not come onto the circulating pump is one important thing. And also what I would suggest is whenever you are connecting the piping to the circulating pump, don't take a longer length straight pipe. If you take a pipe and take a bend soon after the pump is connected, that is better from the pump perspective. Okay. Now generally when you take a bend or a loop, actually that's a problem as far as the thermic fluid circulation or the NPSH required for the pump is concerned, it is bad for that. But from the pump perspective, it is always good. If your expansion tank is at a very high height, something like 14 meters, 15 meters, you really don't have to worry about NPSH. Go for loops at the pump suction and pump outlet. Okay, that is what I would recommend. It's better that if it is a bigger pipeline, 6-inch and above pipeline, get the entire piping stress analyzed from an expert. Don't try to decide on your own. It is not right. Okay, though it may work majority of the time, if it goes wrong, then the impact that is going to have on the pump and your process is extremely high. So the most important thing is the piping stress and the piping connection. Second important thing is about the alignment of the pump. Okay, now alignment is very important in cold condition and in hot condition. If it is in cold condition and there is no piping stress, nothing should happen in the hot condition. Always have a cross check of the alignment once the system is hot. If it is like you are starting from 30 degrees and system goes to 150, 160, have a cross check on that. That's the one. During the startup, after the after a successful running and a lockdown period startup, all that you got to take care is the alignment. Nothing more than that. You don't have to worry about the circulating pump if it is already running. Hope that answers your question. There is.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah.
Which is the best circulating system for thermic fluid? Primary, secondary, or direct circulation? Well, okay. Now the best circulation system for thermic fluid is the one which is actually suitable for the application. Okay. Now, if generally the process demand of the flow and the heater flow, if it is matching, you don't have to go for any secondary loop or anything of that sort. If it is not matching, then there is a need for the primary and secondary loop. Okay, so my answer would be that really one has to study the application. If at all there is a mismatch between the flow of the heater and flow of the process, better to go for primary and secondary loop. It is not only flow. Sometimes if the head required is higher in the process than what is provided by the pump. See, any thermic fluid pump generally operates well when it is at about 60 mlc or 70 mlc. If your process pressure drop demands the pump to operate at a much higher head, then you got to go for a secondary pump for boosting the pressure also. Okay. So the one which is suitable for the application, study the process and then decide whether the heater flow itself is sufficient or you need to add more flow. Always keep in mind that temperature is not heat. Temperature is not heat. It is temperature coupled with flow is heat. If you want to give good transfer of heat in your radiators, you got to have good flow and good temperature, or I would say good flow and the right amount of temperature. Okay. So temperature is the secondary thing. The primary is the flow. If you are not having the right flow, whatever you do, you may not get the right temperature in your process. Take care of the flow so that the heater and the process is going to match with each other. I hope that answers it, and in case if there is more questions, please do put across.
Yeah, there are more questions. Can you see?
Oh, sorry. Is there any expansion joint to be provided in thermic fluid pipeline for higher capacity thermic fluid heater? Okay. Now, expansion joint for the pipeline has nothing to do with higher capacity. Expansion joint of the pipeline is something to do with the straight length of the pipeline. Okay. Now, generally, when you are talking about steam less than 10 bar pressure, for every 30 meters, they say that there has to be an expansion loop. Now, for thermic fluid, I would not suggest you to go with any thumb rules like that. Okay. Now, if you are having straight lengths of the thermic pipeline, which is more than 25 meters, get the pipeline analyzed for the stresses. Okay, and generally where the straight line pipes are not there, you can eliminate the expansion loops. I am not a strong propagator of putting expansion loops as such, because that is going to create a lot of resistance for the thermic fluid flow, and it will increase the cost. Okay, a well-designed piping system is one where you take care of the expansions because of the bends that is required in the plant and eliminate any kind of an expansion loop. Okay, that's what I would say. So the expansion joint requirement is not on the capacity, it is on the length of the straight pipeline you are having. That's what I would like to talk about it. And there is another question which says how to calculate expansion tank size. Wow, it's fantastic. Now, if you really look at the expansion of the oil, for every 100-degree rise in temperature, there is 7% expansion, which generally happens in any kind of thermic fluid, be it synthetic, natural, whatever it is. Okay, now if you are rising from 30 degrees to 280 degree, okay, so 250 degrees you have raised. So for first 100 degrees 7%, second 100 degrees 7%, and rest is 3.5%. So 7 plus 7 is 14 plus 3.5 is 17.5% is going to be the expansion. If you are having 100 liters, you are going to have 17.5 liters of expansion. That's the thumb rule. So if you go by that, then you can easily calculate what is the expansion of the thermic fluid what you are having. Generally, expansion tank is sized for 2/3 of this. If you are having 100 liters of expansion, then expansion tank will have to be at least 30% more. It has to be at least 130, 140 liters of expansion tank. So calculate what is the expansion, take 30% higher margin on that, and that should be your minimum size of expansion tank. But if it is a huge quantity, let us say your expansion is going to be like 15 KL, I mean, it is really fantastic in order to put 15 KL of tank at a height and have an expansion tank, but that's not an optimized way of looking at it, because the startup for such a system may be once in a year, and 15 KL of tank at the top, if you don't fill thermic fluid into it, it is going to deteriorate. There can be corrosion inside, you can land into other problems. So better to have a different kind of a system over there, which we can talk about it as a separate webinar if required. It's a very important and a long thing to be discussed about. Okay. Can we expect any basic problematic solutions like how to calculate deaerator capacity and expansion tank capacity? Wow, that's the same question as what was earlier. I think I have given a small glimpse about it. As I said, we can have a separate webinar on expansion tank and deaerator tank usages. You know, what is critical at the time of installation, we will plan for that. After long shutdown, there is possibility of sediments get settled down in oil. Is it required to check oil quality first and then prefer to start? Fantastic. I mean, probably this is one thing which I missed to tell you during the webinar also. See, it is very important. I would strongly suggest again that please do this. Since your entire system is cold now, take a sample of oil, either from the pump suction or from the heater outlet, wherever it is possible, and get it tested. It is very, very important. So this will give you an a feedback about how good is your oil. Very important. Please do this. Thanks for asking that question. It gives a lot of clarity. After long shutdown, is it preferred to open pump and maintain it? See, if it is a planned shutdown, let us say like you have planned the shutdown for 15 days or 20 days, then you can decide whether a pump needs to be opened or not. What I would say is, if pump has not given you any trouble, in the sense there is no leakage on the flanges, there is no leakage on the pump body, the best thing to do is not to touch it. Okay, now if you really look at the latest pumps what you are getting in the market, it is all with mechanical seal. Okay, now mechanical seal is very sensitive as far as dust is considered, any foreign particle is considered, and it is very sensitive as far as alignment is considered. Generally, the service engineers, when they do the commissioning of these, they take care very accurately to eliminate any dust. They, do the proper alignment, everything. So once the oil is there in the system, you don't get any dust or anything like that. Generally, that does not happen. If it is running fine, don't touch it. If you are having a problem, only then touch it. Otherwise, there is nothing to be done on the pump. Pump is generally maintenance free. It's just fit it and forget it. If we starting unit after 2 months, almost it is required to check oil quality. Yes, it is required to check oil quality. That's a good one. Please do it. What is the reason of expansion tank temperature increasing above 100 degrees centigrade? Okay, now expansion tank temperature going above 100 degrees centigrade, there can be a couple of scenarios. One, during the cold startup, generally the expansion is so high that the temperature will go beyond 100 degrees centigrade, but then over a period of time that will come down. Okay. Now in a running condition, if you are having expansion tank temperature more than 100 degrees centigrade, you got to really check. The first important thing to do is whether the oil quality is okay or not. If your oil quality is not okay and there is good amount of deaeration that is happening every time, then the temperature can go higher. This is one thing. Second, if it is a new system, okay, it is important in order to have the right amount of deaerator and buffer tank. Whenever you talk about the deaerator and expansion tank, though we say deaerator and expansion, the buffer tank plays a major role as far as controlling the temperature of expansion tank is concerned. Okay, now it's a matter of how much amount of temperature variation you have in your thermic fluid and what is the amount of hold up you have, and based on that, what is the right sizing of buffer tank that has been done by it. So it's a very critical design. The best thing to do is, if your expansion tank temperature is going high, you got to check whether your buffer tank is also becoming very hot or what. What is the temperature of your buffer tank? If your buffer tank temperature is very close to the operating temperature, if you take deaerator and buffer tank, deaerator will always have the thermic fluid which is at the operating temperature, 260 degree, 270 degree, that temperature. So if you measure the surface temperature of that, let us say there will be some temperature depending on the atmospheric condition, it may be about 160 degree, 150 degree. If your expansion tank temperature is also close to the same temperature, then it means that, if your buffer tank is also close to the same temperature, then it means your buffer tank sizing is not appropriate. Okay. If your buffer tank temperature is less and still the expansion tank is high, then it is very clear the expansion tank is going high because of the deaeration. Okay, now this is the way to troubleshoot it. I hope you would have got that. If this is an important thing, we can just prepare a checklist and send it across to you in order to check that and do the troubleshooting also. It's a good example for creating a troubleshooting technique. We will try to do that. We will also touch upon this in the coming webinars. Okay, if continuously expansion tank temperature is maintained at 110 degrees centigrade, then it is safe to operate. If you ask me, it is not safe to operate. But then, is there something which you can do immediately? The chances are very little. If your process is online, then take an expert help on what to do about it. 110 degrees, see, anything beyond 90 degrees is a dangerous temperature. At 90 degrees, the thermic fluid is going to start interacting with the, or start reacting with the oxygen, and it is going to lose its quality. So 110 degrees of expansion tank temperature is a no-go, it is not safe. You got to solve that problem very immediately, take an expert's help. What should be expansion tank temperature in normal operating condition? I would say 90 degrees is when it starts reacting. So 80 degrees is the maximum recommended temperature. If it is more than 80 degrees centigrade, then it will start reacting with the oxygen in the air. There are instances if the temperature is going beyond 80 degrees, people suggest that you go and put a nitrogen blanketing. Okay. Now nitrogen blanketing is good. I am not denying or pulling it out saying that it is bad. But whenever you put nitrogen blanketing, please understand that your deaeration capacity is reduced. You have put pressure on the thermic fluid. Okay, like if you put higher pressure, the steam will become water. Similarly, if you put pressure on the thermic fluid, the low boilers that is there, which is escaping as the gases, okay, will remain in the thermic fluid in the liquid form for a longer time. Okay, so it is important that when the expansion tank pressure is put, once in a while you remove the expansion tank pressure and allow the deaeration to happen. We have come across cases where customer didn't know about it. The temperature kept on rising. So since temperature kept on rising, they also kept on increasing the expansion tank temperature, and the entire oil got deteriorated. So it is important to understand if the temperature is going high, why it is going, and solve that. Your nitrogen blanketing is just an additional care, and it is not a solution for the temperature going high. Hope that answers what should be the expansion tank temperature, less than 80 degrees centigrade. I don't find any other new questions which has come up. Hope that would have answered all your queries. I would also suggest you to put across your requests or your requirements for the topics which you would like us to cover. Also, there are not only me, there are many other experts who are there on the group, and I'm sure they would all be interested in interacting with you all. I would also welcome all the other experts who are there on the group also to come and take up a topic and get a seminar. We can support them and do the webinars for them. I think that's what I would like to say. And if there are no more questions, we have come to the end of this session. It's almost 1 hour now. Nitish, should we wait for a couple of more minutes, or should we end here?
Yeah, I guess. Thank you so much, Dhananjay. I believe most of are answered, and I guess if there are any more questions, participants are welcome to post it, and we'll be happy to answer them. So we will come back to all of you with the new topics and some more new ideas around interactions and other things. So till then, stay safe and.
Okay, thank you everyone. We will also have the recording of this particular webinar circulated among you all. Hope you will have an opportunity to look at that also if required. Thank you everyone.